Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes. Welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, Ledger Legends, episode 21. You got Cullen Haynes here on the mic, and my next guest is an absolute powerhouse in the space of accounting and bookkeeping. 26 years has been in the profession and started her firm and is the managing director of Bookkeeping on Time back in 2012 when I first came to Sydney. Fun fact for you. And I'm very pleased to chat to her about all things getting the cash flow of your business right, managing the changes in the market, and how to have a good advocate in your corner like the one and only Sarah Raad, who I'm about to bring on. So we're going to be talking about balancing the books and absolutely living your bliss, basically. So please make very welcome the one, the only Sarah Raad. Welcome to Ledger Legend, Sarah. It's great to have you.
Hello. Thank you, Cullen. Thanks for having me. What an intro.
Of course. Credit where credit's due. You, as I said, you are a legend in the space. You do things differently, and based on being connected with you for so long and whatnot, you come across less as an accountant or finance professional, but more like someone in PR or marketing who knows their stuff. Like, you probably get that a lot, right? You don't.
Well, I do love it. Look, I think the best thing about bookkeeping is being involved with clients. So I think that anything where you've got to actually interact with human beings is really fun, and that's probably where you get the vibe from. Because it's one thing to handle the books, but if you can't communicate what you're doing very well, then you don't get very far, do you?
No, very, very true. And what is happening in your world right now? What can you tell me? What's happening in your circle of influence?
Oh, man. Well, financial year end is over. We're
Done.
more than halfway, really, through the next quarter. So new financial year is just powering away and getting away from us. Lodgements are going in. Clients are getting used to the changes after the budget. And there are a lot of changes in this latest budget. And it's significantly affecting business and how they operate. So we're just managing that, working on a few projects to tighten up efficiencies, because there's always opportunity whenever the economy gets tough.
Isn't there just? And you've had such a long and storied career. I'd love to ask you a little fun question. How would you describe your role in bookkeeping and accounting using just film titles?
I would say sense and sensibility. And I mean that with a pun on sense, because yes, we do look after dollars and cents in what we do, but we also take the emotion out of the money. And I think that's really important, because if you can't take the emotions out of it, then you can't make actual decisions. And often clients are very freaked out about stuff anyway.
Absolutely. Good old Jane Austen book. Sense and Sensibility. Sense with a C and an S, please. What sparked your interest in bookkeeping and accounting and becoming a registered BAS agent rather than going down the traditional, accounting path?
You know, it's such a good question. Very few people ask that. But what happened was I had a great career as an accountant. I worked at Deloitte. And I used to actually teach tax law at the University of Sydney, and then I worked at Deloitte.
Get out of here.
Tax law. I worked at Coca-Cola. I worked at Cadbury Schweppes. Asahi Brewery took over. I was there for that. And then I had my babies, and the hours were horrendous in those days. And I couldn't get daycare. Oh, terrible. I couldn't get daycare for my eldest child at the same place for 5 days a week. It was just silly. And
that's ridiculous.
I eventually had to say to my husband, let's just make a call. I'm going to go and do my own thing. And he's like, you're mad. Don't worry. The kids will be fine. And I went, no, this is madness. So I decided to go out on my own and try my own thing. And when I did, I thought, if I go into partnership with somebody, it will drive me mental. I'm already married. I need to keep that relationship going. I can't juggle two. I was a new mum, and I knew I didn't know enough about accounting to do it well all on my own. And it's such a broad area. But I also knew, because of my previous experience, there's a huge gap in the market for people who understand the importance of the data and understand how important it is to get it right. And it's not a very sexy part of accounting. You know, everybody just puts it off and thinks it's not that important. But if your bookkeeping's not up to date, you can't get funding, you can't borrow money, you can't do your lodgements, you can't decide whether you need a staff member, you can't buy new equipment, you can't make business decisions. So it's really important to get it right. And I'm so passionate about it. And I thought, I bet you we could do that better than anybody else. And that's exactly what we do. And I'm so lucky now. I've got a beautiful team, a team of 30. So I get all the fun of working with people and I love it. And we're very passionate about what we do. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But we work very closely with accountants. So we do actually do a lot of translation between the accountant and the client, which is a lot of fun.
I love that. You speak the lingo and you work with them, not against them, which I think is important. And you built Bookkeeping on Time back in 2011, 2012. Would there be a piece of advice in the early days? This is helpful for people looking to start their own shingle, that you go back and tell yourself.
Well, it's something I did tell myself at the time, and that was, I think there's two things. One is never try to ask somebody for work. Never try to take business from anyone. You're only ever going to be the next duck in a row. So that's the first thing, is don't be desperate for work. Just wait. It takes a long time for people to build trust. And the other thing I would say is use those quiet hours. Use that quiet time to build your systems and processes. I did a lot of unpaid building of work papers and systems and processes and structures when things were quiet, so that when things got busy later on, I actually could cope with the work and we didn't fall over. And I think a lot of small business owners make the mistake of panicking when it's quiet in the early days instead of really using that to build some really solid foundations. And I think with solid foundations, when you do grow, it'll be amazing and you'll have full ability to be able to service the clients that you actually get on board.
No, very well said there, Sarah. And if you're tuning in, we're joined by Sarah Raad from Bookkeeping on Time. Please follow Sarah, connect on LinkedIn, check out her website, because dispensing gems minute by minute, second by second, it all makes sense with a C, pun intended. You work across everything from construction, real estate, legal, trust, NDIS. I'd love to ask you, anonymously, of course, what's the wildest compliance minefield a client has ever handed you? And you've just gone, you know what, we're going to get through this.
There've been so many. So we do a lot of pre-insolvency work. So by pre-insolvency work, we mean we're working with clients that are trying to work out if they are actually solvent, if they can continue to operate, or if they really need to liquidate. And often if you get in early enough, you can do amazing things. So one of the most interesting things we had was we had a client who had never lodged anything for 10 years. And all their stuff was in boxes in their home. 10 years. I don't even know how they weren't in jail. But 10 years of lodgements, nothing was lodged, paperwork in boxes in their house. So that was really, really cool. No, a true story. So we ended up getting we partnered with an admin person who specializes in admin, because we don't really do admin ourselves. It's a waste of the client's money. It's not efficient for them. So we partnered with an admin person. She went and sorted everything out for us, sent out off the relevant papers. We showed her what we needed to see, and we reconstructed his accounts over a 10-year period and made 40 BAS lodgements, all of his IAS lodgements, payroll stuff, super stuff. It was a massive job. So he actually ended up winding up the company, which is why he decided to do all these lodgements to get it all sorted. But it was a mammoth task, and I'm glad we did it. So he sorted them all out and cleaned it all up.
Oh my gosh! Kudos to you for doing that. I've heard 10 years is a long time. I did hear about a barrister who didn't do a tax return for 30 years, but I don't think he had a professional like you helping him.
Oh my gosh! Well, I believe that would have been quite stressful. I think in those circumstances, the most important thing is not to panic.
Yeah, don't panic. One of the first hitchhiker's rules in the book.
That's right.
I would say, if a client's books could be a horror movie, what would the title be? Because you see some pretty interesting situations.
I know what you did last summer. Definitely. I think that's what it should be. And I think there is a lot of crap in there that they probably shouldn't have in there. And I probably do know what they did last summer, and that's a worry. Because if I know it, the ATO probably know it as well.
100%. 100%. Look, we don't see it very often, but it's like, oh, can you, I've got these transactions. Can you keep this? It's like the bank's going to see it. What are you talking about? And no, sports bet and William Hill is not income. As far as anyone would do. Please.
I once had a young practice of family lawyers that were trying to claim, like the little play centers where they were taking their children as client meetings. And I'm like, I don't know how dumb you think the ATO is, but they're going to know that like Lego's Playland is not a corporate meeting setting. But okay, that's fine.
No. I wish I could do that because I take my kids to Vitaland and
I
Planet
wish I could
Minnow all
play
the
a lot
time.
of things myself too. Yeah.
$52 a pop. What's the one bookkeeping myth that you wish you could kill forever live right now?
I'd kill forever the idea that it's actually a cost to your business. I think people underestimate how expensive it is to have mistakes in their bookkeeping and how,
100%.
they'll think, oh, zero's so easy. I can just reconcile it. And it is. And it looks easy.
Yes.
But behind the scenes, there's stuff that goes on because your zero file is what you use to declare your taxes. And if your taxes are declared wrong, the ATO won't say, oh, that's okay, darling. You did your own bookkeeping, we'll give you a break. They'll go, well, that's what you declared, so you're responsible for that declaration. So I think seeing it as a cost to the business rather than an opportunity to make sure that your legal obligations are correct is really the myth that would be great to bust.
Absolutely. And as we said, the title is Balance the Books, Back Your Bliss. You give it to the professionals because I myself am not an accountant, but I have great people like yourself and teams working for me that do that. I think people need to realize that it's probably not a cost center. It's more of a profit center when you think about it and reframe it because it'll save you a lot more. What's a surprising skill that's helped you in your bookkeeping career, would you say, Sarah?
I think it's being able to see something commercially. I think that that's a point of difference with the way that we operate as bookkeepers. I think bookkeepers get a bad rap because we are very, very concerned with the microscopic details of a transaction because that's the nature of our job. And we have to do that. But being able to also step back and look at something commercially and say, I get why you did that. So now I know how to treat that or what we should do or to give some advice, not accounting advice, but advice on maybe the process or the system that you're using to function. I think that's been honestly a superpower in the sort of work that I do. And I think clients get a lot of value out of seeing a different approach with that.
I think they welcome that. A bit of a funny one. What's the most creative excuse a client has given you to late lodgements or late paperwork?
Oh my gosh, there's been so many. They're just crazies. Like I've literally had from, I was in the hospital to I've had a car accident to I forgot about it to I've lost my laptop to we moved house and I lost all the receipts to staff member left and now nobody knows where anything is. I mean, if you can think it, I've heard it.
Oh my goodness!
But I will say they don't make those excuses. I will say they won't make those excuses for long because we usually like wrap that over the knuckles and get them back into shape. That's what they need anyway. It's good for them.
Absolutely, it's character building. They need someone to say, "This is what we're doing. Let's go. Come on."
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're dealing with high stakes situations, high complex, high finance. How do you unwind after a particularly stressful day in the Sarah Raad household? Would you say, Sarah?
I usually try to spend, look, there's two answers to that question. In the old days, I would spend time with my beautiful children who I gave up my whole corporate career to spend time with, but they have since turned 16, 15 and 13. So there's no relaxing with them sometimes because it depends on the moods. It's that sort of age. But no, all jokes aside, I spend time with the family. We've got a pet parakeet. We've got a couple of cats. We try to keep those guys separate so they don't kill each other. And just family time, very simple stuff, shopping, gym,
very special,
all that sort of stuff. It's good.
No, absolutely. You got to do those things. That's the whole point. And you probably say the same thing to your client. Absolutely. Now we talked about this offline. Any passion projects you're working on right now or that are in vogue to maybe shout out that are probably worrying everyone else about as well?
It's such a good question. I'm so happy to share. We're doing a couple of really complex financial process improvement projects because I think whenever the economy tightens, it's really important to start making sure that you're building efficiencies into systems and processes so you're not missing out on any profit because it's harder to get the revenue through the door. So we're doing it. We just finished an invoicing project where we've reduced invoicing from 3 months to 3 days. That's how long it was taking to get invoicing out. It was amazing.
3 days, if you're listening. My goodness.
So we worked with an IT provider to make sure we changed the software and then had to reconcile and fix it and make sure everything's on track. So that was really cool and exciting. And we're doing other sort of projects, very similar. Some of them are with, at the moment, just with recording times and making sure that time and inventory are being managed appropriately so they can be invoiced and the POs can go out correctly for an electrical contracting client. So very exciting sort of work.
No, that's so exciting. I think that's amazing. And with the technology that's coming out, obviously we talked about Xero and the age of AI. Where do you think bookkeeping's going in the next 10 years, would you say, Sarah? Where are we heading? What's happening? Are people going to be superfluous, or what's the story?
It's a good question. I think people have been saying for the last 20 or 30 years that accounting and bookkeeping is going to go down the drain and nobody will need them. But at the end of the day, there are a couple of things.
They said that with computers in the 80s. They said that back in the day.
Well, they've been saying it for a long time. I think what will happen is the crummy parts of the job will go, and I think that's great.
Yes.
I don't think we should be doing the crummy parts of the job. I think we're clever people. We can do clever things. But I do think that we're not there yet. So I know I've got a lot of clients that were trying auto-reconciling in Xero, and it was causing them a huge amount of problems because it was reconciling incorrectly. I think that you'll always have the need for somebody to have a human judgment to tell you whether or not something looked like it was correct, whether the lodgement was going to be okay. I'm not sure I would leave entirely to chance or a computer my communications with the ATO. I think that is not going to help anybody. So I think at the end of the day, it will become more of a hybrid approach where we're looking at things more commercially. And I think that, as a business, we've been positioned in that direction anyway. So I think if you're trying to enter the industry and you're looking at what to do, I think there's always going to be opportunity in accounting and finance, but the opportunity will probably become a little more commercial and a little more value add than just having to go through like a machine and click through and process things without really thinking too much about it.
Makes sense. Well, I think that's what it's all about, automating the rest and only doing the best rather than doing the grunt work and the stuff that no one wants to do. Well said. Now, obviously, we learn from others and we stand on the shoulders of giants. Has there been any influential mentors in your life that you'd like to shout out, Sarah, that have been important to you?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I've had a few actually. So I had, believe it or not, my year 11 my high school English teacher at school who's passed away. She was very old when she taught me, but she was a great mentor for me. Very empowering, very good at communicating the importance of using your own voice. But also I had another really strong mentor who was my supervisor at Sydney Uni. And she, if I could have had my favorite job, my most fun job was teaching at uni. It was such an amazing job. And I remember at one point it was Cynthia Coleman. She's retired now, and she was the professor of the tax law professor there. And she said to me, I remember saying, I think I could do this. And she said, Sarah, it's a real thing. Go out and get a real job. Go out and get a job in the real world. And then if you want to come back and teach. But first, because it's commercial, go out and be commercial. And she was 100% right. I haven't gone back to teach it. I do love it, but I haven't gone back to teach it because there's so much to do in the real world. It was great advice. She was a great mentor. I'm still in touch with her today, and I'm very grateful for having met her when I was just an 18-year-old kid.
Fantastic. It's two beautiful stories there. Your year 11 English teacher and Cynthia there as well. Hopefully, wherever they are, they appreciate that. What would you like to see change in bookkeeping and the BAS industry, would you say, Sarah? If you could wipe away one thing or change it and overhaul it, what would it be?
I think it would be really good with this payday super change. I keep preaching this. No one's going to listen, but I keep preaching it. What would be amazing is if the ATO actually administered that. So I believe that there's two issues with it. There's the cash flow issue. So everybody's freaking out. Do I have enough money for it? But there's this secondary issue, which is the administration, which is awful. So if you were actually able to lodge a form like you do with the IAS or your BAS, where you submit it and put an amount in there and say, this is the amount of super for the whole organization, I'm going to pay the ATO. Now, ATO, you go and put it in everyone's bank accounts for me. That would be amazing. But of course, they're not doing that. So all of the problem is falling on the employer, and the compliance of that is just really shocking. So if employees are making mistakes with their accounts, if they're not informing you of changes with their super funds, it's really becoming the employer's responsibility. And I think that's a really difficult spot to put an employer in.
Absolutely. Well, ATO, if you're watching or re-listening, please take Sarah's advice.
Please do. I wish somebody would.
Somebody, please listen. Please,
somebody listen.
Please, that's AFR right on this. Come on.
That's right.
Now, lessons for young professionals starting their career in accounting or finance. What would you like to say to them if they're re-listening, re-watching, or what have you, or they're tuning in now?
You know, when I started, I remember I went to some events with uni when I first enrolled, and one thing they said to us is, if you want to get a job on the stock, and I've never forgotten it, and they said, if you want to get a job on the stock exchange, then go and sweep the floor of the stock exchange. Don't go and get a management job at McDonald's, because it won't help you as much as sweeping the floor on the stock exchange. And I've always borne that in mind. So I feel like when you're starting out, work out where you'd like to be. And then even if the job is not your perfect job, your dream job, if the conditions are not great, if there's some better offer, but it doesn't actually lead you there, put the effort into the one that will lead you there, because I think that it will actually take you far. And I certainly know in my life it's made a big difference in how I've approached things.
I love that. And it's not a corporate ladder anymore. It's a jungle gym.
That's right.
You know, like I think Sheryl Sandberg said that in Lean In. Like, it's so important that you humble yourself and not be proud. And I'm endeared by what you're saying, Sarah, because I had to take that advice in my own life. You know, I originally studied radiography back in the day, so I can see right through people. And I wasn't suited to that. I did a year of that, and you know, I was told I was too happy, and you can't be that like that in the hospital, Cullen. So career change. You know, studied my MBA, but went into hotels, and you know, and then circuitously we're in finance now. So just, you know, I think you got to take those opportunities.
And I think being adaptive as well, and knowing that, I think it's not like the old days with our parent. Well, my parents are probably a lot older than yours, but with my parents' generation, where you stuck with one thing for your whole life. I think that there's so much opportunity now, and people are much more adaptive and fit into different things at different times. So I think having your vision and making sure that you can adapt is perfect.
I think there's about, you know, don't quote me on the statisticians or put it in Claude or ChatGPT, but like 7 career changes that people go through in their life. So it's not, no, it's not that lifer thing anymore. But we're getting towards the end of the stream there, Sarah, and it's sad because there were so many wonderful things we're talking about. But I'd love to ask you this personal question. One day, when all is said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
As someone who tried their best. That's it. Just tried my best. I don't always get it right, but I always want to try.
Well, you're certainly doing that and have been for the last 26 years in the profession. Where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most, Sarah? If people want to get in touch, is it LinkedIn, website, or is there a WhatsApp group?
LinkedIn,
or something
website, WhatsApp, all of that. I don't know, do I tell you my contact details? Or do you just post them in the chat?
We can put them in the show notes. We'll put them in the show notes so people can reach out. But the main thing is you're open to network, Sarah, and you're always wanting to meet.
Absolutely, that's what I do. I do a lot of that, so absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being part of Ledger Legends episode 21. I think there's a lot of valuable insights you brought to the table, Sarah, and I hopefully more people get in touch and know about what you're doing, because you're doing amazing work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
That's all right, Sarah. We'll bring you back for some bonus questions in just a moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you are a Ledger legend or know someone who is, and you're like Sarah and you want to be talking to myself on the mic here, we come out every Wednesday on the Live with Cullen Haynes show. We're booked out till the end of the year, but maybe we could squeeze you in for 2027. Thank you so much for supporting, rewatching, and giving us a cheeky like and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone. And whatever you're doing, make it count. All the best and take care. Bringing you back, Sarah. How would you explain your role in bookkeeping to my 3.5-year-old Benji? How would you make it as easy as possible for him to understand?
As easy as possible. All we do is we clean things up. We put things into buckets. That's all we do. We work out what goes where and we put it into buckets. People always, honestly, people always say that accounting and bookkeeping is, I'm not good with maths. I'm like, it's not maths. It's just buckets. We're just allocating it from one bucket to another. That's all we do.
I love that. I love that. It's something you can understand because we have everything in buckets for it. How would your team describe you in 3 words, Sarah?
Annoying? No, we won't say that. They don't tell me that to my face. They would say that I am fast, efficient, and fun.
Fast, efficient, fun. Definitely. Certainly coming across that way in the stream. And we asked Ellen Hooper, our previous guest on the Live with Cullen Haynes show, this question. So I'd love to ask you and get your insight. If you could go back and give the younger Sarah Raad advice at any age, and you had a time machine could do that, when would you go back and visit yourself? And what would you say to the young version of Sarah?
I'd probably go back to my 20s and I would probably say, make sure you speak up more. I think the older I get, the more I speak up, and I'm really grateful that I'm at an age where I can do that, and I don't feel like I've just got to wait and take my turn. I feel like my voice has a right to be heard. Maybe that's just me and all the other 40-something-year-old women, but that's certainly what I would say to my younger self.
So back yourself and speak up more, even if it feels uncomfortable. No, I think that's amazing advice there, Sarah. Thank you so much again for being part of the stream, and hopefully more people reach. Absolutely. It's been fantastic, and a very quick episode at 25 minutes, under the 30-minute podcast threshold. So well done. You're efficient, let me tell you.
That's good. Well, it's called bookkeeping on time, not bookkeeping late. So I'm happy to hear that.
I love that, Sarah. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone. Take care.
See you.
Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my book, my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built Legal Home Loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no contacts, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're back